Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the #1 news source when it comes to old school RuneScape updates, Rune News. It's your boy, Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of Rune News. Today, we will be discussing some changes to the Wilderness Boss updates, some price difficulties with the Eldritch Orb and the Void Waker Sword, the release of Coloring Your Crystal Armor, and the classic 5 to 10 second segment about RuneScape 3 and why that game is complete and utter dog shit. Now we're going to get into the old school RuneScape update, but first I need you to do me a favor down below in the comments section. Tell me what you think of the latest Wilderness Boss rework. Which one of the three big and little variants are your favorite to farm in a group and solo? The only wrong possible answer in this situation is if you do not do wildy bossing currently, because you are a coward. Leave your answer down below in the comment section, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and sit tight, strap in and strap on for this week's segment of Old School RuneScape. Now guys, this week we have the Wilderness Boss rework tweaks and more, where Jagex will discuss with us what they changed during the week and what they're changing with this week's update. During the week, they made some various changes, like the amount of loot drops in each boss room for just the big boys, Callisto, Vedion, and Venenatus, is dropped from 15 players to 10 players, but also the quantities are increased as well. So it should work on average in a 10-player room in either of the big boss rooms, that you get about 1.5 times the amount of loot as you would doing the solo boss, and you should get considerably more kills per hour. So big win for group content, and the way that they've done shared loot to even help Iron Man be involved, I think has been a nice touch and a great addition that they've been back into a lot of recent multiplayer bosses such as Nex and Nightmare. Big dubs there for Jagex. There's also an increase. They increased the minimum loot reward from 0% to 15%. So if you do less than 15% damage, you will still be rewarded as though you did 15%. That way, if you're shooting at Callisto and you're just using Ruby Bolts and you're hitting 0, 0, 0, 0, and you do a 3 at the end, by the time Callisto dies, but there's only 10 of you in the room, you're getting 15% damage reward. So good on you guys. Even those who can't do damage are now getting paid. Excellent, perfect and beautiful incentive for those out there in the wilderness today doing some PvMing. Don't think there's really too much else to discuss here at the moment. They have actually talked about, increasing the gold per kill on these bosses, but it creates a problem. I think it should be more gold per hour than something like Vorkath, but Jagex has a valuable point, which is if you're getting 300k per kill, you're likely going to be banking every 1 or 2 kills at Vedion, rather than staying at Vedion for 10, 15 kills plus, because you don't want to risk 1 mil GP every time you do a couple of kills. You're going to be banking consistently, which will actually bring a lot more PKs and PvP clans to those caves, so that might actually not be good for the PvMers, and it will also just mean that you're constantly banking them running back. So if it makes the kills easier and you're getting slightly more gold per kill, it might balance out to be a better outcome overall, especially if all the tedious drops are in greater quantity, like, red spider eggs. That's actually a good drop, but like Mortmire fungus, Limport roots, what else is there? I think like 60 Torstol. If they were in higher quantity and noted, which I think they are noted at the moment, it wouldn't be so bad, and it might just keep people encouraged. So they have to find the balance there, which I think is a fair statement at the end of the day. Anti-grief mechanics, which is awesome. All bosses are now immune to Ring of Recall effects, as well as Spindel is limited to a maximum of 10 Spiderlings, and Calvarion will only give you 2 dogs no matter how many people are in the room. There's nothing worse than 5 people running into the room at once to see if it's free, when it's clearly not, because you can right-click check, and now you've got 10 dogs to deal with as they'll run out of the room. So now there's 2 dogs in Calvarion, regardless of gender. Further changes, they've rearranged Venenatus damage through prayer to be rolled, then capped at 30, rather than being capped at 30, then rolled. Not 100% sure what that means. I just think that means you're going to take less damage. If the spiders are out, just kill the spiderlings, take a Din's Bulwark or a couple of darts and throw them at them. They die 1 hit. Calvarion will now only spawn up to 7 lightning strikes, so that way Rot can't do the only thing that they do well, which is fuck all. They can't enter the room of... Wait, no, it's just Calvarion. Yeah, they can't go into Calvarion, freeze one guy, and all pile on top of him with 20 different people to increase the amount of lightning strikes. There'll only be 7 lightning strikes. So Rot is back to doing almost nothing in the wilderness because they haven't got any talent. There's no way for them to bug abuse or grief. thankfully. Other changes which don't really matter because I don't understand what any of that means. Hot fixes since last week. The Accursed Scepter were reverting to the Tharamin Scepter while protected in PvP def when equipped. If you're losing the skull, then that's hilarious. Bad luck. On our radar, on our radar, we're aware of the following issues. So what they're going to be doing soon is the boss entry fee is lost upon any wilderness death. I think the logic behind that was if you were in the cave when the fight started, then you left, then technically you should still lose the fee. No, I don't think that works with the Rev Cave, so it shouldn't work with the Wildy bosses. I could be wrong on that though. We want to explore changes so that you only lose the fee if you die in combat that began inside or within close proximity of the boss lair and cave escapes. Let us know your thoughts. I think they should just do what it is with the Rev Caves, which I'm pretty sure is if you're not in the cave, you don't lose your fee. But the Rev Caves is also bigger. I don't really know. It's 50k to be honest. It's not really that big of a fee for most players. I'm not sure how many people are actually having a problem with this. You can get 50k very easily in this game nowadays. If it's that big of a problem, you should probably prioritize other things in the game before you go and camp the wilderness bosses. That's my opinion, and you should probably take it because my opinion is often the correct opinion. The stall behavior when falling into the boss lair can be disruptive in PvP scenarios. I don't care. People want to come and rag me, they can suffer with that. It is impossible to get PK'd at the single way combat bosses. People have tried, I've not died once. Keep trying, keep coming at me. You're having a problem, land in your freeze, get good. Maybe you should just risk some better gear like Barrows. That way I can turn around and shove my AGS up your ass and claim a decent reward. Venenatus and Spindel's web attacks are a bit too punishing for the energy drain front. Energy drain front. Yes, it is. Yeah, you lose like 10 run energy per tick. And the animation on both of those bosses is really bad. Like, it'll just run across the room, but the animation hasn't moved yet, so you're just losing health and getting dragged by a ghost through all this shit. You're standing in the cum, you've got no run energy, you've got no health, and you're just like, what the fuck? So I think they should probably smooth that out a little bit more, maybe make it less, maybe slow it down a little bit, but otherwise, that's really the only problem I have with any of the Wildy boss reworks, and the Tharamin Scepter remains unable to autocast. I've not used it yet, so I wouldn't have a clue. Fairering graphical update coming next. People genuinely complained about this. Like, they were worried that this was, like, who cares? I mean, I think it looks a little more shit now, but I still don't mind. That's fine. It's such a weird thing to complain about. Welcome screen changes. Not gonna lie to you guys. Couldn't give 2/3 of a shit. Secret of the North. The Venator Bow will now tell you how many charges you have remaining more frequently. At every increment of 500 charges, it will also print a more emphatic message when you hit 150 charges remaining. Like every other weapon, I don't know why this wasn't introduced on release when it's got charges. Every other charged item in the game does this. Thank you for catching up slowly. Arrows can now ricochet even if the targets are dead, and the ricocheting arrow also has increased. The speed of the ricocheting arrow has increased somewhat, which should make the bow feel a bit nicer to use. Secondary hits should now roll their own accuracy, so some pretty decent buffs for the Venator bow. Still kind of garbage. CPUD Plus client improvements. They're slow on this, but they're making the improvements. That's all. Nothing else. Other changes. It's all kind of hot garbage here. The Ardone Diary task that calls for an imbued slave amulet is now clear about the amulet where it must be imbued. I don't know why people are like, why can't I imbue the Salve Amulet at Soul Wars for the Argenhugen Schmoogendugen Diary? Because maybe Soul Wars isn't in the Asgardian or the Kandarian area where Argenhugen Schmoogendugen is. None of the diary requirements are at Soul Wars. Why would the Soul Wars imbue count? Use your fucking head. That's simple. Pulse 76 changes. Huge. So a lot of these passed. A lot of good things on here passed. And next week we can expect the increase in coin pouch capacity alongside being able to show off your peak priff fashionscape with crystal armor recolors. It'll also be possible to make super extended antifires and extended antifire potions. Say that 10 times fast. It'll also be possible to say... Fuck. It'll also be possible to make super extended antifires from extended antifire potions. I'm not saying that anymore, but... Good. Big changes. Next week's going to be huge. Crack the clue. Wooks is getting sick of your shit. Wooks wants you to hurry up with the clue. So crack the clue, guys, please. I don't know, I haven't even attempted it because there's no point trying to compete. Yeah, I play this game full time. I sit in the chair 18 hours a day and I spend it over playing RuneScape or with my hand on my cock. But I do not have the time to compete with some fucking wannabe living in their mother's basement with an Adderall addiction that has nothing but time and I wouldn't say money, but time to just sit there snorting lines, popping pills, and just being wide-eyed awake doing crack a clue. I just don't have the time for that, nor do I have the interest. I'm sure it's going to be great. When it's solved, I will do it. But until then, guys, hurry up because Wooks is sick of your shit. Get good. The Oz World for LMS has been deactivated, so no more LMS for me for a week. I might do a little bit in UK worlds, US worlds, but if it's garbage, I'll probably just dip on LMS for a week, then I'll come back and go hard the week after. That is a wrap for the Old School RuneScape news, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry for dragging it out. What I'm going to do now is give you the infamous and everyone's favorite part of the Rune news, the RuneScape 3 update, followed by Wade Green taking the reins on the Grand Exchange update. Sit tight, stay tight, and you will be all right. That was a terrible ending for the segment. Well, here we are again, guys. Another update for Old School RuneScape means another episode of Rune News here at King Condor on YouTube. My name is Ryan. This is the RuneScape 3 section for Rune News, and I have one thing to say to you all, which I'm sure we can all agree with and have a laugh about in the comment section down below, and that is the fact that RuneScape 3, as a game, is fucking dog shit. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's your boy, Wade Green, and welcome back to the Grand Exchange segment of Rune News. This week, the biggest rise typically is the Void Waker, one of the biggest rises in the Grand Exchange in a long time. And this weapon, she's a beauty. It's great for PKing, it's great for anti-PKing, and it is better in most places where the Dragon Claws are used if the defense of the monster is too fucking high. So make sure you grab yourself a Void Waker. It's not actually too hard to grab. Just do the little mini worldy bosses and you should be able to get the pieces one at a time. It's a bit of a grind, but it's really hard to be PK'd in those situations, so it's not a bad grind to just chill and just, I guess, grind out. I've said grind a lot on this weapon, but it is one hell of a grind. Definitely worth investing in if you get the drops. I wouldn't buy one yet because the price will likely start dropping as the hype dies down, but so far, worldy bossing being such a success with the rework, things like this are really going to pop off. Void Waker, pretty S tier item. We're one piece away on the group iron team, and then I'm going to start anti-PKing cunts like there's no fucking tomorrow. Now, the Famaran Scepter is on the drop. This one didn't last very long. I did say wieldy weapons would peak at the update, and now they're starting to drop. This one particularly is dropping because really there's barely any use for this weapon, especially in the wilderness. You've got the crossbow and the chainmail still being the metas. If Callisto, for example, would be good, weak against magic, this would be great, but by law, Callisto can't be weak against magic, so it's really difficult to figure out where everything should sit. To be honest with you, the Scepter could be, it's still actually pretty broken outside of the wilderness, because I'm 90% sure that it doesn't use charges outside of the wildy, and it's got a max hit of about 29, which means it's basically a trident that costs you nothing to use, and you can just send it all day. Yeah, it's not as much damage as the trident or the seas or the swamp or the Sangstaff, but guess what? It costs you 0 GP to use, and you can send it all day, so not bad for something like a Kraken task. Definitely worth investing in. The spec seems to be pretty good in places like the Phantom Muspar and maybe Olm as well, so don't sleep on it too hard, but definitely the least exciting wieldy weapon of the three, even with the upgrade. By the way, that spec upgrade I mentioned with the Phantom and Olm is only with the upgrade of this version, and I'm not sure if that counts for the charges also being at 0 every time. I think that might need to be upgraded, but regardless of gender, this weapon is dropping. Expect it to drop a little bit more. Now, one of the most expensive items in the game is the Eldritch Orb. It is only at 317 mil. There are a lot more expensive items in the game, but I really wanted to talk about the Eldritch Orb for a little bit here, because before TOA, this item was worth about 20 mil. TOA came out, the Kodai necessity, well, the necessity for the Kodai one dropped, this picked up. The Harmonized Orb dropped too. Eldritch Orb picked up because it's pretty decent for the Inferno, especially with the Nightmare Staff equipped to it. The Orb by itself is kind of dog shit, but if you put in a staff, you got yourself a nice little weapon there, a nice little treat, something decent to go and send the Inferno with. Nightmare's not a bad grind. For Sunny, Nightmare's pretty decent. I recommend giving it a go because there's some decent money to be made there still. It's not as much as before, but don't look at everything as GP per hour because at the end of the day, you got to remember that you're dog shit. You're not playing efficiently. You barely play efficiently as is. All your calculators mean nothing the second you start missing ticks. So go have some fun. Get yourself an Eldritch Orb. It's worth the money. Go grind the Nightmare for a little bit. Why not? That's all I've got to say. Now finally, the Mole Slippers are on the decline. Now this is to be expected with the Wilderness update. Everyone's out in the Wilderness. You don't really want to be risking best in slot Mole Slippers all the time when you can just throw a pair of useless Dragon or Rune boots on and go and send it at the dogs. So this makes perfect sense that this is dropping. There's a lot of hype about different content at the moment, which is also the prime time to be investing in the Mole Slippers. What you might notice here on the graph as well is that it starts at about here where we begin to rise, then it kind of drops down. A little bit of a pyramid there, if you will. This is kind of the goal that we're looking for. So we're looking next for it to dip back up again as well. The next time you're here, the next time we're doing Rune News, we are expecting a price rise here. So if you want to make sure you get them, but while they're finishing up their dip, you want to buy your Mole Slippers now while they're down here, because next week they're going to be back up fucking here. You're going to have a nice little triangle, almost like a pyramid figure going on the Mole Slippers market. So now is a good time to invest in Mole Slippers. The next time they peak should be around the 500k mark. They might drop to 450, then shoot back up to about $1 mil. They're going to be worth about $1 mil GP by the end of the year. So 185k right now is not a bad investment for Mole Slippers. Not a bad time to dump a little bit of your cash, buy 4 pairs. What you need to do though to improve the investment is once you buy your Mole Slippers, tell your friends, get them to invest, show them this part of the video. Because now they're going to invest, which means your Mole Slippers go up in value. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to tell their friends. And if they tell their friends, that means their Mole Slippers go up in value as well as yours. Ultimately, a smart person will figure out that means mine go up in value regardless, which is fine. Excuse me. Which is fine. That's how it works when you're at the top of the triangle. You want to be second. You want to make it so only I am making more money than you. Everyone else is below you. It's all about finding a bigger idiot than you to invest. It's almost like, we're not going to get into it. It's almost like a Ponzi scheme. But, hear me out. For legal reasons, this is a joke. So make sure you invest in Mole Slippers today and make a couple $100, make a couple $100k tomorrow. My name is Wade Green and I approve this message. Now our first Iron Man moment of the week comes from possibly not an Iron Man named Raging Karma 2. He got the jar of the swamp from Zora in 12kc, I'm pretty sure. I couldn't tell you exactly because, look at the size of this thing. This guy couldn't take a screenshot to save his life. It's horrendous, it's terrible. GZ on the RNG. Now go find a brain and learn to take a proper screenshot so I don't have to deal with shit like this and people can understand what's going on. Our second Iron Man moment of the week comes from a group Iron player known as Jim Lil Brat. Some of you may know her as Samantha. She's the brains and broad behind the shorts on this channel. 99% of the shorts that have been uploaded recently come straight from her. When you guys clip content from videos or streams, you clip it, you put it in the Discord clips channel. Samantha will upload it and make sure that your name is credited in the description if she remembers to. So I gave her the benefit of the doubt and started to resize her screenshot here because hers was also ridiculously large, but I got sick of resizing it. It is genuinely a pain in the ass in Streamlabs and I have no idea why. So this is the best you get, Samantha. Thank you for the screenshot. She got 99 range, by the way, if anyone was curious what actually happened. If you don't see any shorts uploaded over like a 24, 48 hour period on the channel, go ahead and harass her in game at Jim Lil Brat or on Discord at, I don't know, just look for, I guess, Samantha in the Discord channel and just say where the short's at. Make sure you guys are clipping, however, from the content so that she can upload the good stuff. Shout out to Samantha. Learn to take a screenshot. And finally, Prom Wizzy got a Tumican Shadow split. It wasn't in his name, but I think it's like his second Shadow recently on a 420 invocation raid, which ended up being down to 410 because they didn't make your party beat at the time. I swear the screenshot said 410 invocation. Maybe not. It was a 420 invocation, I'm pretty sure he said. It's their second star split in a 6-man team. GZ to your team. That's the last screenshot on the channel. Not very exciting. Couldn't care less. Thank you for watching Rune News. All of you have a great night, great time. Look after yourselves. I'll see you all next week. See you in the live streams. Sugma. This is the easiest room in the raid. It's quite simple. You got a big boy. Look at him. God damn. Fuck me. Look at that boy. It's huge.